Not to flip it on to Crete, going from a hero to a Crete, but we talked a little bit about this with Mark, and it was a little hard talking to him about that because I know what happened. But Dan, could you give everybody your thoughts on John DuPont and what kind of character John DuPont really was?
Well, I'll just say just to give it. I don't even want to give him much credence right there because I'd say he came from a family of money, and I think he looked upon this whole amateur wrestling thing as I don't know, just something new for him just to toy with. But he was just a very strange, weird type of cat. I think he had some weird type of habits that would be really frowned upon. And it just, I heard different things from different wrestlers of reality. I'm not going to mention any names here at this point in time, but the reality is he was a strange cat. He, I think, took advantage of a sport that there was nobody in whatsoever. And the fact that you got all these amateur wrestlers and they're being offered some great salaries because, again, it was the first time ever that money was being thrown around there for the sport of amateur wrestling. And so he did get some really high caliber athletes that came over. But when they started telling me some of the weird little peculiarities that he was doing, he's like, going, dude, he goes, I'm thinking to myself, are you willing to endure money to be around a wackadoo like that? So I'll kind of leave that there. I'm just kind of keep things a little bit on a superficial type basis. People fill in the blanks there with your imagination just a little bit. And you'll probably be spot on.
I mean, it's just hard to hear, with Mark talking about this. This was his life story. That was his brother that lost his life. And now somebody's taking this story and just kind of putting it all over the place, even in a way, kind of making DuPont look more like an innocent guy until the end. But what I can tell,
no.
This guy just got completely off his rocker from the very beginning.
Yeah, he was off his rocker, and the fact that he took advantage again, he just took advantage of a sport. He took advantage of athletes and their financial situation. He didn't have to offer up much money because there had never been any real money inside the United States for amateur athletics. So it's things have changed a great deal to where when you look at just fall of this last year, I should say fall of this year, fall of last year. The new rule that came down from the NCAA that allows NCAA level athletes to now monetize off of their image, their reputation, credentials. So it's a whole new meaning to where I can't even imagine how much money I could have made had this been my opportunity back in 1976, because of how successful I was. It'd be like saying, Eric Carroll, because you're such a successful high school wrestler, not only are we going to pay for your full education, he goes, but we're going to pay you $100,000 over the course of the next 4 or 5 years if you redshirt a year for the next 4 or 5 years of your career. Could you think of that one right now? I mean, especially when you think about that, you're 17, getting ready to turn 18, because usually you're around 18 years of age when you graduate out of high school. It's like, what 18-year-old would love to know that, gosh, I'm going to college, I'm going to get my degree, and I'm going to be paid X amount of dollars on top of this? But the real rigor is you can now have a phenomenal freshman year. And now another school can simply say, hey, Eric, we see how great you did your first year in college. We would like to offer you the same deal of full tuition for your school and stuff like that. But now we're going to offer you $200,000 a year on top of that. And there's no penalty for you to, you can leave in midstream now. And you can engage right into competition to where before you had to sit out 1 year. And I thought that at least it's a penalty, because all this is going to do is going to hurt the lesser financially capable collegiate programs.
It just pisses me off because, like I said, a lot of them would paint like that he was this really good thing for amateur wrestling because he brought all this money in. But it almost seems like this narcissistic thing of I'm taking advantage of the fact that the sport doesn't get much support, and I'm going to use my money to just come in here. And like, I saw this video, Dan, of him going around like hospitals and all these different places, getting them to praise John DuPont and like how he was an expert in all these different things, but knowing he took advantage of these wrestlers that were out there busting their ass, that had passion behind the sport, that was representing our country, and dangled that little carrot in front of their face. And then it ended up with the murder of Dave Schultz. What do you think the stain of Foxcatcher, what will be the stain Foxcatcher had on the amateur wrestling altogether?
Well, I mean, it's a stain, and it's a time that it's marked in history. Really, is what it is. Hopefully, there's a lesson that got learned somewhere. I mean, tragically, some people had to learn it more the hard way. The world would be a better place if there was a Dave Schultz, because, like I said, Dave just had a very charismatic. I know that. There has been a Dave Schultz award that has been put together, and it's usually for the outstanding wrestler at the NCAA tournament. So again, I just think that the world would be a better place if Dave Schultz was still in it, and that's where Mark, again, you were talking about Mark. Mark was just an incredible athlete who he just was just a little bit in the shadows. I mean, I guess, just the fact that we interviewed Mark just a few weeks back. I'd like to try to touch base with a little more to see what else can I help to do to bring him back out into that forefront. Maybe doing a couple of wrestling clinics with him or something like that to bring him in to show people, or to make him more relative to what he did.